With being the best at everything since childhood, Iris has always been considered a prodigy, whether it is about fencing or making grave decisions as a leader. But the current situations have put her in a questionable position. She wants to take the lead and dive into the actual issues to get her kingdom rid of the menace called the Cult of Diablos. But her father does not allow her to put the entire kingdom in danger by challenging something they don't know the strength of, especially provided that the recent events rendered her helpless, and she couldn't do anything against them, even when she wanted to. So now, this Bushin Festival is not just a competition to earn another accomplishment, but a way to prove to her father and the entire kingdom that she is the most powerful and trustworthy. Sid seems to be the lucky one to get attention, even when he is dreading being a background character, as he is once again seated next to Princess Iris, and she once again seems to enjoy having a chat with him. He tells her how to make her coffee taste good while the others question him, being so casual with such an extraordinary person. Suddenly, the guards get cautious upon not finding the invitation card with a woman who is there, but Iris goes to the rescue of Beatrix. Upon knowing that the goddess of war is there, everyone is surprised while Sid is amused at the praises and fancy titles being given to her. As the two sit beside him and talk about Beatrix wanting to find someone, Sid is lost in his monologue of feeling like the perfect background character by being invisible beside such prominent personalities. Perv injects the drug into the king's mouth, thinking about how even if Rose fled, their plans are going well, and since she is possessed, she is bound to get into their custody sooner or later. However, this guy also has the perfect backup plan of having the king of Midgar slayed by this king, stimulating a war between the two kingdoms, leading to the destruction of the Oriana kingdom, and then having another puppet rule the Midgar kingdom on their behalf. His deeply messed up plan seems foolproof to him, yet he feels an ick towards Mundane man who has no background information about him yet is proving to be so strong. He has his soldiers laid out in case of the appearance of Shadow Garden, as if that is going to work out. His concerns, however, increase when he comes across Beatrix, the lady who could have awakened the hero's blood within herself by now. He thinks of how he is no match if he has to eliminate Beatrix, but consoles himself that Rose will show up and he won't have to deal with much chaos other than capturing her. Perv then looks at a running Sid, thinking of how pitiful ignorant people are, unaware of this ignorant kid becoming the most powerful of all in a shadowy disguise. Claire seems to be serving as a better background character than her brother who desires it. She wins her matches but isn't considered a danger to the enemies. Her brother ditches her performances, and she runs around to get his attention. When Iris finally faces Mundane, she still cannot sense any strength in him, but is well aware of the disturbing feeling that there is something unfathomable about this man. Nevertheless, she is determined to give it her all and defeat him without giving him a chance to show his strength. But the moment the match started, she felt herself getting beheaded without Mundane moving. Iris stumbled and fell back in defense, but was as confused as the audience, because to the eye of the audience, she defended herself against nothing. Mundane still stands there questioning why she didn't attack yet. Initially, Iris feels like she instinctively did that in caution, but the situation becomes clear to her when she hallucinates her leg getting cut off too. Rose enters the stadium in disguise, but finds the guard that would have targeted her already slaughtered. She looks around to find Shadow Garden backing her up to fulfill her motive. Iris is in a serious dilemma on what to do, provided only Mundane's eyes and a slight shift in his center of gravity is enough to make her hallucinate what he wants to. Concerning remarks about Iris from the crowd start getting into her head, along with the fear of Mundane being the most powerful if he can control things just like that. She gets enraged and moves to attack Mundane, but stumbles halfway in her stance because her attack was based on the illusion of Mundane holding his sword, but in reality, it was still in its sheath. This one moment of confusion is a brutal blow to her because in a swift motion, Mundane dodges her and then has her unarmed and defeated. Everyone is shocked at Iris losing. Perv cannot believe an ordinary man rose with such a dark skill up his sleeve, while Beatrix looks at the ground in awe, wanting to fight him too. The attention, however, shifts to Rose walking in the VIP lounge and bowing in apology to her father. She deeply apologizes for what she did and is about to do, while Perv grins that things are finally going his way. She tears up when her father, despite becoming a drugged puppet, has one moment of sanity and pours all his love into telling her he forgives her. With a thank you to her father, she advances with her sword towards Perv, who pulls the king in front of him, assuming she'd stop, but Rose stabs her father. Perv shouts at her lack of humanity and is about to mock her, but stops realizing she is about to kill herself. He commands his knights to stop her, But the situation is interrupted by the appearance of Mundane, aka Shadow, asking if this is the choice she has made, changing his appearance from Mundane to Shadow. His ideal entrance fails at the tagline of introducing himself as Shadow when Rose interrupts, calling him Styling Bandit Slayer. Shadow was the little boy who saved Rose when she was kidnapped as a kid, and his beautiful fencing was the reason she got into the world of fencing. She confesses to feeling scared about fighting against evil, but Shadow interrupts her that her fight hasn't ended yet. Rose feels the determination rise and flees to come back stronger. Perv is stopped by Shadow from moving. He calls out for aid, but of course the Shadow Garden got rid of all the knights. Beatrix steps forward to fight Shadow while Perv proceeds to flee. Just the striking of their swords is enough to tell a crazy combat is about to happen. Iris is unable to control her rage after seeing Mundane turning out to be Shadow. The whole capital is in chaos with people running around, the guests moving to safety, the thoughts of imposing martial law, and Perv fleeing the situation towards Oriana Kingdom. Beatrix tries to fight Shadow, but she cannot bring herself to focus on his movements. He takes a step forward, and she finds him behind her. Shadow seems to be amused at the confusion on her face when Iris intervenes, wanting to participate in this duel as well. She is carrying a mithril blade, which is an ancient artifact. Iris questions if he thinks she cannot handle this blade, but Shadow mocks her for using a crutch to be able to fight him. This serves as fuel to the fire that her anger is for obvious reasons, and she launches herself at him. Shadow still casually dodges the attacks and calls the sword good for providing visuals for festivals. He is passing remarks while simultaneously dodging attacks from Beatrix. Claire is busy looking for her dumb brother, not knowing he is the trouble she is trying to save him from. Rose escapes into an alley and thinks of whether she should return to the capital or not when Alpha appears behind her, offering her two choices. On the other hand, the two ladies attack Shadow one after the other, and even simultaneously, but nothing works against him as the fight spans over the entire city. He seems to be having the time of his life, while people are after his life. Rose is offered to either go her own way or join Shadow Garden. She asks if they will help her save the kingdom, but Alpha tells her they will only help her if she proves her and her kingdom's worth to them. She rephrases her question, asking if it is possible to save the kingdom, making Alpha tell her everything depends on her now. Giving it a deep thought, Rose takes her pledge in alliance with the Shadow Garden. Iris frustratedly asks who Shadow is while fighting him, but how could he not give a mysterious answer to that question? Beatrix also introduces herself, questioning if they have met somewhere. He tells her he doesn't forget a strong opponent, so now the question remains if they are worth keeping in memory for them. This once again enrages the troubled princess, while Beatrix seems to be doing this for no significant cause. Shadow proceeds to use magic to attack them with water, which is an experiment for himself as he realizes magic doesn't flow well with it. After throwing Iris in the water, Shadow is faced by Beatrix, and it is not that simple to defend himself against her. The two reach up a tower while fighting one another. He praises her sword skills, but questions her magic, and is about to show her something when a violent Iris tries to attack him rashly from behind. He pushes the two away. Iris tells Beatrix she will immobilize Shadow at all costs, and she can attack him then. However, the first part of the plan is impossible on its own. Iris is easily taken down by Shadow, followed by Beatrix. The two are smacked to the ground and Shadow is about to walk away satisfied, but Iris stops him. She tells him he cannot run away and hide anywhere after wreaking havoc across the entire kingdom, as all the knights and special forces are mobile and after the Shadow Garden by now. Shadow pauses for a second and then starts laughing like a maniac, questioning who's running and where. He then asks in anger why he'd do that, creating a huge sphere from his magical energy around town. He then exclaims in midair for them to observe his earth-shattering, unparalleled attack while acting like a crazy psychopath. He is about to make his atomic attack, but stops last moment, casually commenting in a normal tone that it was just for show, and disappears. Iris breaks down badly at this, while Beatrix looks at her pitifully. The news spreads about the two ladies repelling Shadow and Rose, disappearing to nowhere in the meantime. Shadow is considered the principal culprit for all the uproar, while Sherry reads the news, stabbing his picture in hopes of doing it for real one day. Perv is lectured by someone in a video call for being a disgrace, while he consoles the person that Rose cannot disappear without a trace as long as the cult's roots spread across the kingdom. He also thinks she is bound to return due to the turmoil this kingdom is going to be in after the king's death. Beatrix takes her leave after not finding her niece. The Shadow Garden amusedly discussed how Shadow smoothly took the attention of Midgar Kingdom off of involvement in the matter of Oriana Kingdom, by making them frantically look for him. They are even more devoted to their jobs now that Shadow has started to actively involve himself in the matters. In a conversation with Poe about him seeing the magical sphere of Shadow, he thinks he has attracted a little too much attention and needs to work more in shadows. Rose misses Sid when in the Kagenu domain, from where Alpha takes her on foot through the forest where magical beasts infest. Alpha tells her Shadow fought the Mist Dragon, and after getting defeated, the dragon declared him the ruler of this realm. Passing the forest, they reach the ancient capital, Alexandria, which is the base of Shadow Garden's operations. Alpha leaves Rose to Lambda, calling her a recruit and reminding Rose to show them their worth. Lambda gives her the name of number 666 as a trainee and tells her she will be a nobody there and cast away everything that belonged to her. What pains her the most is losing the paper that Sid gave her. Shadow is content with having his purpose fulfilled. Things are going as he wished, and he is lurking in the shadows, doing what should be done while the hour of awakening nears.